Well, courts sure love a Friday because it is the perfect time to drop a controversial decision while no one is watching. Hey guys, welcome to the Notorious.tv, your home for all things scandalous, eccentric, and over the top. Today, we're talking about a decision handed down by the Texas 15th Court of Appeals, which has hemp businesses across the Lone Star State pulling products off their shelves. Again. Let's talk about it. This video is for educational purposes only. If you've been following this game of ping pong in Texas, you know that Governor Greg Abbott vetoed the consumable hemp products ban passed by the Texas legislature in 2025. At the time, he instructed the Texas Department of State Health Services, also called DSHS, to implement new industry rules. And DSHS took a lot of, let's say, liberties with their rulemaking. They enacted a total THC limit of 0.3%, which includes THCA, as well as $10,000 licensing fees for manufacturers and processors, and $5,000 licensing fees for each retail store location. These horrendous rules went into effect on March 31st, 2026, and were suspended just over a week later after the Texas Hemp Business Council filed a lawsuit challenging them. Stakeholders argued that the agency had overreached by essentially reenacting the legislation Governor Abbott vetoed just through rulemaking instead of lawmaking.
What's happening here is the DSHS is trying to do what the legislature failed to do 3 times. They have failed to pass legislation to eradicate the hemp program from Texas in the regular legislative session, in the special session, and now they're trying to do it here in the rulemaking process.
On April 10th, Travis County District Judge Maya Guerra Gamble issued a temporary restraining order, also called a TRO, blocking the DSHS rules. Here's a fun fact: she's the same judge who presided over the Alex Jones trial. After her decision, hemp products returned to Texas shelves. Until now. On Friday, June 5th, the state's 15th Court of Appeals reversed the lower court's decision, meaning that the DSHS rules are back in effect. And note the timing. End of the week, reporters clocking out, offices closing, and by Monday, the outrage has just simmered down. It's a classic tactic. It's release something messy right before the weekend so it gets buried under sports scores coverage and brunch photos. The good news is that the fight is not over. According to Sergi and Associates hemp lawyers, the June 5th order addresses only the temporary appellate relief that plaintiffs requested while the state's appeal of the trial court's temporary injunction remains pending. It's not the Court of Appeals' final decision on the state's appeal of the temporary injunction, and it is not a ruling on the ultimate legality of the challenged rules. The underlying appeal remains pending before the Court of Appeals, and the parties continue to litigate the issues raised by the state's challenge to the trial court's temporary injunction. Now, separately, the case remains set for trial on the merits in Travis County District Court on July 27th, 2026. At that trial, the court will consider the underlying legal challenges to the rules and determine whether permanent relief is appropriate. Some people are wondering whether the appellate court's decision affects the July 27th trial, and the answer is no. The state's appeal and the underlying lawsuit are happening simultaneously in 2 different courts. But we're still possibly looking at nearly 2 months where Texas businesses will take a major hit. There's a lot at stake, as hemp in Texas is a $10 billion industry. The current Texas Hemp Business Council lawsuit makes the same argument made in 2021 by Sky Marketing when the state first attempted to ban Delta 8, an intoxicating cannabinoid that occurs naturally in trace amounts, but is usually produced through a chemical process that converts CBD into Delta 8. That lawsuit also led to a temporary restraining order, which allowed Delta 8 to stay on the shelves while the case played out. And that was the case for 5 years. But get this, on the same day that a temporary injunction was granted to suppress the DSHS consumable hemp ban rules, the Texas Supreme Court overturned the long-standing Delta 8 injunction, which allows DSHS to move forward with scheduling Delta 8 THC as a Schedule I controlled substance. Coincidence? The industry sure does not think so. Which begs the question, what exactly was going on behind the scenes to cause this so-called coincidence?
All right, the injunction is granted, baby. We had the dream team, and we knew we had them. So the temporary injunction is granted officially. However, at the same time, this is no coincidence, at the same time we hear that the Supreme Court reversed the Delta 8 injunction in the Sky Marketing Hometown Hero case. On the same day. It's unbelievable. The timing, the corruption is absolutely out of control. We have a game of whack-a-mole with the lieutenant governor going on right now. And this is not a fucking drill, people. The amount of control that he has on this state is absolutely unbelievable. The amount of corruption that he is causing is absolutely unimaginable. And in this November, there's only one thing to do, and that's vote against him. You don't have to vote for anybody else. Just go vote against Dan Patrick, because this is absolutely out of hand and it's dangerous. He's affecting our lives, our children's lives, generations of Texans to come with an abuse of power. He runs the Senate, he runs the House basically, and obviously he can influence Supreme Court judges and local politics and everything else that he needs to make sure that his big bosses are pleased. We need to make a change for the Texas that we all want to see and get some true leaders where they need to be.
And coincidentally, again, on Friday, June 5th, the same day the consumable hemp ban injunction was lifted, news broke that the Sky Marketing Delta 8 lawsuit was officially dropped by the state.
We just got bad news this morning that our lawsuit that has now gone to Supreme Court twice was just dismissed this morning. That case has been in place since 2021 when DSHS within Texas tried to illegally reschedule Delta 8. So Delta 8 is not technically illegal yet within Texas, and DSHS has to go through the proper process to try and reschedule Delta 8 to make it a controlled substance. So what does this mean for Texas? What's the timeline? DSHS has to go through a process to attempt to reschedule Delta 8 and make it a controlled substance within Texas. There will probably be a comment period. We do not know the timeline of when this will occur. We do know that they have not started the process as of yet, but it's safe to assume at this point that at some point, Delta 8 will be illegal in Texas once DSHS starts this process and then finishes it by scheduling Delta 8 as a controlled substance within Texas.
So these precedents are making the situation look pretty grim for the hemp industry in Texas, because the dropped Delta 8 lawsuit means that DSHS essentially has the authority to bypass the legislature and create new laws through rulemaking. It's also worth mentioning that DSHS is currently undergoing a sunset review that will be decided in the 2027 legislative session. That means that lawmakers are evaluating whether the agency should continue to exist, be restructured, or be shut down entirely. And guess who has major influence over that decision? Well, that would be Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, the same guy who pushed aggressively for the original hemp ban. If you want more of the backstory on that, check out my Texas hemp playlist from last year. So what do you guys think? Is this government overreach or just business as usual in the so-called land of the free? That's all for now. Please like and share this video and subscribe to my channel. It helps more people see the government scandals that shouldn't stay hidden. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.